Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now. I'm currently sitting in a chair that I once owned back when I lived in Iowa, and that's exactly where I'm at right now, at my brother's house here in Des Moines, visiting for a few days. And I'm here just to kind of hang out, meeting up with a few people tomorrow, some business colleagues, going to do a radio show on WHO AM 1040 on Monday morning with Jan Michelson, an old friend of mine. And then later on Monday, not too much later, Adam, my brother, and I are going to be driving to Madison, Wisconsin from Des Moines. We're taking a road trip to go see a concert that he had purchased tickets for. The New Pornographers, which I'm assuming is completely benign. I'm going anyway. I know I've heard of the band before, and he tells me that the style is pretty indie pop, rock kind of stuff. Okay, so sounds like good music. I'm going to have to download a couple of their tracks, or if Adam's got an album, I'll listen to it tonight before we head out on Monday. But this begs the question, well, what kind of equipment do you need to bring with you on a road trip? And oddly enough, Scott McNeil, an individual who's also known as Montreal in the chat room, and I'm just going to assume that Scott is from Montreal, Canada, as opposed to, Montreal, Connecticut. I don't know. So anyway, I'm broadcasting from a wireless signal on my MacBook Pro, so if there are any issues with video, I apologize beforehand. However, that's never stopped me before. So Scott writes, and I'm just going to dive right into his suggestions and part of his reasons. We'll post his full reasons with the corresponding blog entry on my blog at chris.pirillo.com if you want to catch everything he wrote. His number 5 is a power inverter, which is something that looks like this, which I just purchased today from a local retailer. It's something that plugs into a cigarette lighter and allows you to then use cables for your equipment. So it converts this kind of signal into a signal that could be used on, well, let's say like the MacBook Pro. This particular inverter also has the ability to plug in another kind of adapter like that. So you can, if you will, daisy chain one to the other. He writes, most of us love watching DVDs to pass the time while on the road, but laptops and portable DVD players have a limited battery life. Instead of buying an extra battery, which is often extremely costly, a power inverter is an invaluable tool. It converts the 12-volt vehicle power to 120-volt household power, allowing for normal devices like laptops and portable DVD players to be plugged in, recharged, and enjoyed for under $60. And that's about how much this thing costs. I've got another inverter at home. It's a little more advanced. It's got like a USB port, but I'm bringing my, because a device is charged by USB, I'm bringing my laptop, and if I need to charge something by USB, I'll just use that instead of the other thing. His number 2, and he also has a little note in there. I'm not going to read the blog post for that. His number 4, not number 2, it's a second point, but it's number 4 on his list since he's counting down, is music. He says, who doesn't have an iPod these days instead of carrying a stack of CDs as tall as the car itself? These are great ways, the iPods are great ways to transfer media back and forth and have it playing over the car stereo. He recommends an FM transmitter, and oddly enough, Adam needed to pick up another one. Where did it go? Oh, do you have it? Okay. Adam, pop into the picture. This is my brother Adam, and some people when I had the live stream going, they said, how come there are 2 Chris Pirillos? Obviously, now you know. He got the looks in the family. So there's no 2 Chris Pirillos. He's the looks. He also got the art style in the family. That's his. That's an Adam Pirillo original. If you're interested in purchasing it, you have to come through me. I'll negotiate the price because that's just how I roll. This is an FM transmitter. Fits again into the cigarette lighter. It acts as an adapter, or we'll be able to use it in the inverter. Wait, it's starting to look like a interesting contraption there. This you plug in your iPod into, and it'll broadcast on an FM station. You can adjust the station depending on where you're at. Of course, you'd hope that you tune this to a station where there's not a station already in that area. Otherwise, you're going to end up with massive interference. Just trying this out today seemed to work pretty well. I had my only other experience had been with a slightly older device. The antenna wasn't as strong, and the other one was really bad. This one's decent. It's the Tunebase FM player from Belkin. There apparently is a Tunebase 2 that Adam says, after doing his research on iLounge, was actually a little stronger, better. But this is the one they had at the store, and we needed one for the trip, and it will work just fine. Some issues that I found with it is that it would work with certain iPod sizes, and that's most of them. But since I have an iPhone, It didn't really have one of these slider adapters for it to hold it into place, but was able to use the regular old iPod Touch holder, swapping it out, and it worked just fine.
I wonder if the Tune-Base 2 has the iPhone converter for it.
It might. Actually, it might. I wouldn't be surprised. But, you know, it's pretty solid. Certainly a lot more solid than the last one I had. This is something to keep in mind. If you don't have the option, of course, of plugging in your audio device, whether it's an iPod or not, directly into your car stereo, which, of course, would be a better way to go rather than transmitting over an FM signal. Number 3, laser and radar detectors. Sorry about the spoonerism there. Everyone wanders over the speed limit every once in a while, especially on long journeys, and a radar detector is an astounding way to save on costly tax-grabbing highway tickets. Now, this is the one he recommends. It's something called Valentine 1. I have no experience with it, and just by me saying this, I'm not, saying that you have to get it, but it's interesting. It's omnidirectional rather than, pointing in a single direction. Could potentially cover your entire car or block your entire car. Now, here's the thing. Legalities are going to vary from state to state, jurisdiction to jurisdiction, so be very careful about using something like this because it's not quite all that legal. Very gray area. In fact, I would probably opt on the safer side and not even buy one. Just drive the speed limit and you'll be fine. Number 2, navigation. GPS navigation units becoming hugely popular, and for good reason. TomTom and Garmin. Dang, man, what did we have to drink tonight?
Margaritas.
All right, margaritas. We're both of age, don't worry. Apparently had a sip too many. Both Garmin and TomTom are pretty decent devices. My car at home has a built-in nav system. It's proven helpful. I haven't really struggled with getting around the Des Moines area since I grew up here, but that being said, it would come in handy for longer trips, especially when you don't know the destination. I will have my iPhone as well as this laptop with me. We'll be live streaming thanks to the mobile connection that we have courtesy of Ustream.tv. But that being said, nothing beats exact directional navigation coming from some piece of software, whether it's built into the car or whether it's an ancillary unit that you have with you. I had an HP GPS that they sent me for review. Unfortunately, the battery would not hold a charge, so I wasn't able to bring it with me on this trip, but I would strongly, out of everything, before a power inverter, before even taking care of your music and the radar detector, navigation, I would choose as the number 1. But he chose a much smarter number 1, actually, your car. And if you're not taking care of your car, making sure that the oil is changed, making sure the tires are rotated, make sure your liquids are full, everything that you need to prepare for a long trip has been taken care of. And there's, if you can run over a checklist, you'd be wise to do so. You'd be surprised. He notes that having your car maintained properly to help save the ECU, and I'm not exactly sure what that stands for, it can help you keep your car running right and keeping you safe. Of course, you also want to take cash with you because you never know when you're going to need that in case something breaks down. The time between Des Moines and Madison, Wisconsin is approximately 5 hours. We're largely going to be traveling well-traveled roads. It's definitely traveling, I think, up the back roads to get to that point, but we'll see how it goes. As I said, I'll be live streaming it. I haven't really done a lot of road trips since I was in college, but 5 hours isn't too long, and it'll be good company. And like I said, oh, thank you, electronic control unit. Thank you, Dr. Hobo. I really appreciate that. I would have said like electric cardiac umbrella. I don't know what ECU meant. Yeah, I guess I just lost all my geek credibility. I can't speak tonight. Well, hopefully I'll be better on the road. At least you better hope I'm better on the road, especially if I see you somewhere in between. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow at the Des Moines area meetup and or tweet up, I guess. And don't be a stranger. My email address is chris@pirillo.com in case you have any other driving tips or long-distance driving tips or road trip tips or what have you. What, you got a tip?
Yeah.
What?
Food.
Food.
I don't like to stop at restaurants when I'm driving because usually you want to get right to that destination that you want to get to as quick as possible. On the way home, you can kind of meander, but when you're going there, you want to get there. Here in Des Moines, we have a great place called South Union. I like to get their bread, make a little garlic focaccia bread, and throw a little capicola, some pepperoni.
Whoa. I'm going to stop you there at garlic. You realize that, this is a confined space, and what garlic does to our bodies as Pirillos.
Yeah, but if you're both eating it, you don't really notice. It kind of cancels each other
That's true
out.
enough.
So,
True
but
enough.
it makes a fantastic sandwich. But grab your favorite sandwich, make a good sandwich, buy a couple sodas, and head on down the road. And that way you don't have to stop unless to take a pit stop.
And pray that your brother does not have gas. I'm just saying. I mean, you want the gas, but just in the tank, not so much in the cabin. Anyway, we're going to be streaming the trip if you happen to catch this video before we leave on the trip, and if not, hopefully we'll record a few bits and pieces for posterity, or posterior. Okay, it's time to close the video. I'm usually streaming 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether I'm visiting the old home in Des Moines or traveling to Madison, Wisconsin, or plain old Seattle at live.pirillo.com. This is the point in the video where you do this.
Oh, yeah.
And you say "E you later."
I know.
No, you don't hold it up like that.
No.
That's like a gang sign. You hold it like this. And you say "E you later."
See you later.